Most travelers do not ruin Portugal by choosing Lisbon instead of Porto, or Porto instead of Lisbon. They ruin it by trying to force Lisbon, Porto, Algarve, Sintra, Cascais, Douro Valley, Madeira, and the Azores into one short trip. And that is when Portugal stops feeling relaxed. It becomes rushed. More transfers, more hotel changes, more money spent in the wrong places, and less time actually enjoying the rhythm that makes Portugal special. Portugal looks easy to plan because it feels compact, beautiful, and approachable. But that is exactly why many first-time travelers underestimate it. They assume 1 week is enough for every famous region. They assume everyday trip is simple. They assume the country is affordable everywhere. And they treat travel days like free days. That is how a beautiful Portugal itinerary quietly becomes stressful. The first mistake is trying to see too many regions in one short trip. This is the big one. A few days in Lisbon, a quick stop in Sintra, maybe Cascais, then Porto, maybe the Douro Valley, then the Algarve, and if the map still looks possible, maybe Madeira or the Azores. On paper, it feels exciting. In reality, it can break the rhythm of the trip. Portugal is not huge, but it has very different travel experiences. Lisbon feels urban, historic, hilly, and atmospheric. Porto feels moodier, compact, and river-focused. The Algarve is coastal and seasonal. Madeira is an island adventure. The Azores are a completely different kind of nature trip. Trying to combine all of that too quickly does not make the trip better. It makes it thinner. The second mistake is treating Lisbon as a one-day checklist. Lisbon is not a city you should simply cross off. It has viewpoints, old streets, tiled buildings, trams, waterfront areas, neighborhoods, cafes, food, and a slower rhythm than many major European capitals. But many travelers arrive, rush through a few famous spots, take a photo of a tram, visit one viewpoint, and think they have seen Lisbon. That is not really Lisbon. Lisbon works best when you give it space. One of the best moments might not be a major attraction. It might be a quiet street, a sudden view over the rooftops, a small cafe, a walk that was not planned. If you compress Lisbon too much, you miss the feeling of the city. The third mistake is trying to rush Sintra and Cascais in the same day without enough time. This is where many Portugal travel plans start to feel unrealistic. Sintra is dramatic, green, palace-filled, and more time-consuming than it looks. Cascais is coastal, sunny, relaxed, and much easier in mood. Both are worth visiting, but they are not the same kind of day. Sintra asks for more energy. Cascais gives you a softer coastal break. If your schedule is tight, forcing both into the same day can turn two good ideas into one rushed experience. Choose the mood you want. If you want palaces, hills, gardens, and cinematic scenery, choose Sintra. If you want ocean air, beaches, seaside walks, and a simpler day, choose Cascais. The best day trip is not always the one with the most stops. It is the one you actually enjoy. The fourth mistake is underestimating Porto. Some travelers treat Porto like a quick stop between Lisbon and the next place. That is a mistake. Porto has its own atmosphere. It is smaller than Lisbon, but not less interesting. The riverside, bridges, old streets, viewpoints, tiles, cafes, and Douro River all give Porto a completely different feeling. It is moodier, more compact, more textured, and often, it becomes the emotional payoff of the trip, but only if you do not rush through it. If you arrive late, leave early, and treat Porto like a half-day photo stop, you miss why so many travelers remember it strongly. Give Porto time to unfold. The fifth mistake is adding the Algarve to a short Lisbon and Porto route without thinking about time and season. The Algarve is beautiful. The beaches, cliffs, coastal towns, and boat trips can be amazing. But adding the Algarve to a short first trip is not always simple. It pulls the route south. It adds more movement. It depends more on season. And it can make the itinerary feel stretched if you're already trying to do Lisbon, Sintra, Porto, and the Douro Valley. This does not mean you should avoid the Algarve. It means you should add it when the trip has enough time to breathe. If you only have 1 week, ask yourself a serious question. Do you want to focus Lisbon and Porto route? Or do you want a coastal Portugal trip? Both can be great, but forcing both into too little time can make the trip feel rushed. Here is the mid-trip reset. The biggest problem is not Portugal. The problem is trying to combine too many versions of Portugal in one itinerary. City Portugal, coastal Portugal, island Portugal, wine country Portugal, historic Portugal, beach Portugal, nature Portugal. They are all desirable, but they do not all belong in the same short trip. The sixth mistake is treating Madeira or the Azores like easy add-ons to mainland Portugal. Madeira is incredible. The Azores are unforgettable, but they are not casual side trips. They are island experiences with their own pace, logistics, weather considerations, and travel rhythm. Adding them to a short mainland Portugal itinerary can increase cost, complexity, and travel time very quickly. For many travelers, Madeira or the Azores deserve their own trip, or at least a longer itinerary. If you try to squeeze them in just because they are part of Portugal, you may end up spending more time in transit than actually enjoying the islands. The seventh mistake is assuming Portugal is cheap everywhere. Portugal can still offer great value compared with many Western European destinations, but it is not automatically cheap in every place, every season, or every travel style. Lisbon and Porto can cost more in the best areas. The Algarve can rise quickly in popular periods. Madeira and the Azores can change the budget. Restaurants in tourist zones, riverfront areas, beach towns, and famous viewpoints can add up. The mistake is not spending money. The mistake is spending without a plan. Choose good bases. Think about location. Eat local when it makes sense. Spend more when the experience actually matters. That is how Portugal travel costs stay under control. The eighth mistake is making travel days too full. A travel day is not an empty day. Even if the distance looks simple, you still have checkout, luggage, transport, waiting, arrival, check-in, and adjustment. Lisbon to Porto is not difficult, but it is still a transition. A final day with a train, airport transfer, luggage, and an international flight is not the time to add too much. No buffer can turn a good trip into a stressful ending. Portugal rewards travelers who leave space. Not empty space, useful space. The kind of space that lets the country feel relaxed instead of forced. So, what is the real lesson? Portugal is not a checklist destination. It is a rhythm destination. A strong first trip does not need every famous region. It needs a route that makes sense. Lisbon as a starting point, Sintra or Cascais as a focus day trip, Porto as the slower atmospheric payoff, Douro Valley if you want a scenic final highlight, Algarve when the trip has enough time, Madeira or the Azores when they can breathe. The best Portugal trip is not the one with the most regions. It is the one where each place has enough time to feel special. Fewer regions, smarter rhythm, better route, better Portugal trip. If you want a simple route that avoids these mistakes, watch the 7-day Portugal itinerary next, because the way you build the route can completely change the trip.